Good evening. Thank you for joining me. Hope you were able to catch the Facebook Live update, but we're going to go a little bit more in depth here and try to detail out a little bit more. I'm going to show you several more maps and let you know more about the tropical disturbance that will be moving into the interior somewhere along the Gulf Coast. So let's just go ahead and turn around. We've got the European model here, and just detailing out this low pressure. It's currently in Georgia right now. Show it to you on the radar because you just got some weak moving storms, but all around it, you can just see just kind of a rotation around it, and that's a neat outflow boundary that just got put down. Check that out in Georgia around Atlanta. So this is all going to move off the coast down to here, and it'll be able to, with no friction and very little shear, it's going to really be able to get its spin together, to get all those layers in the atmosphere stacked, and that's really difficult to do over land. And this is kind of an odd situation because most of the time these pop up in the Gulf or in the Atlantic somewhere, these low pressures, just with very little winds in the atmosphere. And, you can see how these storms aren't moving. And once they're able to stack themselves out here, you get this Carton engine. And it's insane how much energy is lifted up into the atmosphere. It just begins to spin. It's incredible. That low pressure is going to move off. And we've got an 80% chance right now of this developing over the next, I believe it's 2 or 3 days. And so that could move anywhere, in my opinion. And it's difficult to say. Most of the models today are taking it through Texas and somewhere into the central United States. Yesterday, models were showing more Arkansas, Tennessee-ish. Even earlier models had showed into western North Carolina with the development right here in the Gulf. But so let's talk about some probability maps. Here's your European model. This is showing a very good probability of a tropical depression of 20 knots or more developing somewhere in. So we're probably going to get a name. I think we'll get. We've got an invest. So I'm thinking that we'll get some type of name system here in the next. Let's see. This is between. I think probably Thursday or Friday we'll see something get named. We're going to see it get its act together, and it's kind of going to be interesting because we might have part of it on radar. So it'll be interesting to see this tropical disturbance develop itself, get the layers of the atmosphere stacked, and really begin to push that up into the atmosphere and create what is necessary to get a storm churning and get a hurricane churning. So, like I said, still lots of uncertainty as to where this is going to go. Let me pull up also the National Hurricane page. Let's see. So let's see. They've actually they've got a let's see. There's a 30% chance in the next 48 hours, but I believe there's a bigger chance in the next. Or they had an 80% chance earlier. So I'm not sure if they updated that. Yeah, there's the 80% chance through 5 days. And that's what, we're not really thinking in the next 48 hours, but in the next 5 days, we could definitely see a tropical disturbance. And as you can see, a trough of low pressure located over central Georgia is forecasted to move southward towards the northeastern Gulf of Mexico, where a broad area of low pressure is expected to form on Wednesday. Environments and ocean conditions are forecast to be conducive for development, and a tropical depression is likely to form by the end of the week, while the low moves slowly westward over northern Gulf of Mexico. Regardless of development, this has the potential to produce heavy rainfall as portions of the northern mainland Gulf Coast later this week. So, like I said, heavy rainfall threat for that Gulf Coast. As far as western North Carolina goes, uh, unless this thing turns and curves, I think this is more of a Louisiana, Texas type deal where we see a slow moving flash flood threat, maybe 10 or so inches of rain, and 50-mile-per-hour wind gust. Just a tropical disturbance. Nothing too impactful, but nonetheless, still something to take note of, and will make news. And people along this, and we've seen these ramp up. It's going to get into a pretty favorable environment. So it really depends on how far out here it bows, and how much time it gives itself over the land. In a good environment right here, the flooding threat is serious, but these things can develop very quickly. So we're not ruling out anything at this moment. But the main thought is that just a tropical depression will occur. Nothing too crazy. But if the European model shows a 981 low, which would be a pretty strong low pressure. And this is the European ensemble. So a 50-member, you can see 50 different scenarios here. And that'll show you exactly, just kind of gives you a broad picture of all the possibilities. And then usually we take the European, the operational model, and then that kind of leads, and then these follow behind as reinforcement. And I use these in the longer range a lot as something to go off of. So we'll show you the model one more time as I'm wrapping this up. You can see here's what the European shows. Kind of just a bowing out and strong intensification here of a 980, 985 low pressure making landfall. So it almost looks subtropical on there. But we'll see what this does. And I've got my eye on it. Like I said, guys, I'm in the process of moving, but I've got my eye on it. And I'll make sure that, especially if it's going to affect western North Carolina, you'll have as much information as possible. So thank you guys for joining me. Really appreciate it. And have a great evening.